So when did I start competing? That was a recent occurrence, a little over 2 years ago. It's something that I always wanted to do for, well, not always, but for quite a while, decades even. But the way bodybuilding was then, it was only so many classes. So as stupid as this may sound, I was kind of too tall. I'm only 5'9". So there it is. Everybody always wondered how tall is Damon. I'm not that tall. But they only had so many classes. So with my skinny frame and being 5'9", the guys in my weight class would probably be 5'3", 5'4". So I'm gonna look too small. But then if I bulk up, which I was trying to do with the guys in my weight class, then they all cut up and I'm looking fat. So essentially I couldn't do it. And then once I started, as I had mentioned earlier, started realizing how the diet worked and then getting myself together and understanding that, I was working out in the gym and a guy had asked me if I compete, just out the blue. And he looked like, I know what competitors look like. I follow bodybuilding. So he asked me to compete. And I'm like, nah. He was like, you should. And it was like, what? Okay. That he thought that way about me. So he started talking, whatever. And then some other people had asked me that. And I was like, okay. I was simply really just trying to get myself back into a gym look because I had been outside of the gym for a little while. I was working on my own. But going into the gym and people looking at you, they're looking for a slimmer, smaller, more toned look. So a couple of people had asked me that was it. And then there was a guy, my current coach, but I knew him through a client. And one day, me and him were talking, my current coach, we were talking, and he said he was doing a posing class. So he said, if anybody want to compete or something, tell him I'm doing a class. So I said, anybody want to compete, huh? He said, yeah. And I said, like that. And I had heard that he kind of wanted me to compete a little bit or kind of mention it through my former client who was a mutual friend of ours. He passed away. So it's kind of like, oh, okay. And me and my coach had these discussions. I had so much other stuff going on in life with football, whatever. Bodybuilding is really time consuming, 24/7, like for real. So, he never really mentioned it to me. It's just like, you got a lot going on. So, I'm pretty sure he took me serious, but I was still coaching football, doing some other stuff. Then once I got to a point, I was like, you got me. I told him, I said, you got me. You got me 100%. This is something I want to do. I want to do this and on my bucket list, do this. So once I got into that, the pandemic hit. So I was in the process of training for it, but the pandemic hit and that threw the whole planet off. So that put me in a situation where I was over dieted, shows were being canceled, didn't know what we were supposed to be doing. There's so much stuff that we had planned on doing that we just couldn't do. Even our interactions was limited because he couldn't get to his facility. So, but then that came around, and then once I started doing the competitions, some of the things that I thought and some of the things that I had been told started to become apparent to me, like, I can be good at this. So like my first competition, I was nervous, extremely nervous. Had all my little coat and stuff on, and getting to the gym, and I started looking around at different guys. I'm like, okay, he look good. I look better than him. You start sizing people up, but I'm still nervous. Went out there and did it, got my little medals or whatever, and just nervous. I'll just leave it at that. Cramped up, everything, all the stuff that I can go on. That's a whole nother topic, what happened the first one. But I'm standing there with my coach who's a pro bodybuilder, retired pro bodybuilder, so well known. So people coming up to him talking, they look at me like they ain't never seen me before, so they saying like, oh, who's this guy? He was like, oh, so-and-so, he's new, whatever. They're like, oh man, you look good. And I'm like, okay, and then a couple people who went so far as like, I'm amateur status right now, I'm nationally ranked, so real high up there, but still amateur. But then people start literally telling me like, you gonna go pro. I'm like, who? Like me? And they sit up there like, yeah, and they looking at me like, I remember this one dude, man, this dude was cut up, looked great. He was like, man, you ain't got a drop of fat on you. And I'm thinking like, you ain't got a drop of fat on you. So all these people compliment me. That was what we call a local show. And then I got out to national show. Now I'm seeing people, our coach told me, he's like, it's gonna blow your mind, I got out there and I'm like, okay, everybody look like you. You know, when you do a local show, with all due respect to local shows, some people come on wanting to try bodybuilding and may not be cut out for it, but everybody can do it, you know. But national show, you gotta earn that. Get to a national show and you get in a room with 200 people and you look around, you're like, everybody look like me. Some a little bit worse, and unfortunately, some look a little bit better, and you know it, you know. So get out there and came in 6th place. Didn't make what they call first call out, which is usually top 5. Come in 6th place. And I'm mad about it because I'm naturally like competitive. Anybody would be mad about it. But that was probably the best thing to happen to me because I'm like, okay, now I realize like I belong. Okay, so everything everybody was saying, I belong. But I clearly knew the things that I had to improve on. You know, so come back around to my 2nd year, which was this past year. Now I had a plan. No more pandemic, none of that stuff. I had a plan with the things that I had to do. And then we go back and do these same national shows. And now I get medals. Come in 3rd place in the country, national show. And then 5th place in North America. So it's like, okay, now I'm up here with the big boys. I realized 2 things. Not only do I belong, you know, but to be quite honest, I'm pretty good at this. But to be even more honest, I still got a ways to go because I came in 3rd, I came in 5th. Somebody came in 1st, somebody came in 2nd. Why are those guys ahead of me? You know, and I know why, you know, and you know, you get feedback from the judges. And for bodybuilding to be such an extreme sport where like probably 1% of the world may do it. I mean, you go look at 100 people outside right now, you see all types of different people, but ain't one of them a bodybuilder, not competitive. They may look good, but they not on a level of bodybuilder. So to get out there and just do something that's that extreme and think about like, wow, you know, I'm just, it's just different. It's just a different, I can't, everybody thinks I look magnificent. I'm not saying that, I'm saying that's what people tell me. You know, I was trying to get my thoughts together. Like, it's just hard to explain. Like, people think you look a certain way, and my world is just so different. Like, no, this guy. But you know, that's a whole different tangent.